Heartwarming revelation, little girl's touching plea for her brothers saved by incredible K-9 hero. In a small northern Michigan town, a panic erupted that echoed through the forest like a siren. Three spirited boys, Ethan, Luke, and the youngest, Harper, had ventured off into the woods for what they imagined would be an epic adventure. Their mother, Sarah, a humble waitress at the local diner, felt her heart stagger as she paced the faded linoleum of her kitchen, the vibrant laughter of the boys now replaced with an eerie silence. The tension twisted in her stomach like a knot, each passing minute deepening her fear. At just 8 years old, Harper's sister, Lily, looked up with wide eyes filled with hope, holding colorful markers and poster board. With an innocent smile, she began to scribble. "My brothers will come home." It was a proclamation that lit a fire in the hearts of their tight-knit community. Soon after, the town was plastered with Lily's heartfelt signs, vibrant messages of hope scattered like bright wildflowers in a field of despair. As shadows lengthened and darkness began to creep in, the townsfolk rallied around Sarah. With determination, the familiar faces from the diner showed up, bringing with them flashlights and a shared purpose. They formed a search party, their solidarity palpable, as whispered prayers lifted into the Michigan night sky. And then came Jack, the local veteran, with his loyal K-9 partner, Max. Sarah could see the strength in his calm demeanor. Somehow, it anchored her amidst the storm. "We'll find them, I promise," he assured her as Max gazed intently at the tree line, his nose twitching with anticipation. "Before we continue," Jack said, addressing the crowd, "I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let us continue with hearts pounding. They entered the woods, each snap of a twig amplifying Sarah's anxiety. This wasn't just a search, it was a desperate plea for the boys' safe return. The night deepened, a blanket of stars twinkling overhead as hope battled despair. Then, suddenly, Max's ears perked up, and his tail began to dance. With a jolt of adrenaline surging through Sarah, they followed him deeper into the thicket. Tension thickened the air as they gathered around a hollow tree trunk Max had sniffed out. Could they be inside? The question hung heavy as they fought against the panic clawing at their chests. As the community held its breath, Sarah stepped forward, clutching her heart, torn between fear and hope. Will Lily's innocent plea bring them home safe? The wind rustled through the trees, whispering secrets of resilience and unity. In that moment, Sarah knew that whatever happened next would reshape their lives. How to rise from the ashes of chaos, how to cling to the quiet power of family and community in the face of uncertainty. As the darkness pressed in, both on the physical and emotional fronts, she braced herself for the answer that lay just beyond the horizon of dawn. The air was thick with anxiety as the search party gathered around Max. His nose twitched, but the silence felt heavy, stretching like the shadows around them. Sarah's heart pounded, the sound echoing in her ears like a war drum. Each moment felt eternal, every breath she took filled with dread and hope intertwined. Jack knelt by the tree trunk, urging Max on as the dog sniffed intently at the base. "Come on, boy. Find them," he whispered, his voice low and steady, like a lighthouse guiding them through the dark. The others watched with bated breath, straining to hear any sound, any sign that could reassure them. In that fragile silence, Lily clutched her homemade signs, her small fingers curling around the cardboard edges. "They'll hear us," she said confidently, though her young face betrayed a hint of worry. Sarah knelt beside her, brushing Lily's hair from her forehead. "They will, sweetheart," she reassured, her voice a gentle promise. Just then, the branches rustled as Max started to dig with determination at the hollow tree. A chorus of gasps erupted from the group, each member eagerly moving to see closer. Could it be? Someone muttered, hope creeping into their words. Suddenly bark. Bark. Two joyful barks rang out. Max had found something. Get ready. Jack called out, his tone fierce and protective. He reached into the trunk with both hands, and as if on cue, the boys' familiar voices floated through the darkness. Mom! Help! Sarah's heart soared. Boys! She shouted, the sound bittersweet on her lips. She squeezed Lily's hand tightly, tears of relief brimming in her eyes. They're alive. The group worked feverishly, shifting branches and dirt until finally, Ethan crawled out first, a mix of dirt and pine needles clinging to his hair. We were just playing hide and seek, he said breathlessly, but his wide eyes revealed the fear they felt. Behind him, Luke and little Harper followed, shaking but safe. Boys! Sarah rushed forward, enveloping them in a warm embrace that felt like coming home after a long journey. Their small bodies pressed against her, grounding her in a whirlwind of emotions: relief, love, gratitude. Lily joined the pile of hugs, her joy complete, as a cheer erupted from the rest of the townsfolk. The forest, once thick with uncertainty, now felt alive with laughter and shouts of victory. But within that tide of joy, dread still lingered in the corners of Sarah's mind. The boys were home, yes, but they had ventured into the depths of the forest, a place full of hidden dangers. What happened out there? Sarah asked, pulling back to look into Ethan's eyes. He shifted nervously, glancing at Luke and then Harper before replying, "We got lost, but then we heard something." A pause hung in the air, heavy with unspoken details. "What did you hear?" Sarah pressed, her hands still clutching her boys as if she could keep them tethered to safety forever. Ethan took a deep breath, the dim light of the moon reflecting the conflict in his eyes. "It was strange, like a song, Mom, a voice calling to us." Jack exchanged a glance with Sarah, a flash of concern crossing his face. "A voice?" he echoed, brow furrowed. As the reality of their adventure sank in, a chill swept through Sarah, the warmth of the moment fading just a touch. Could there be more to this story than they realized? What had really happened in those woods? The night clung to them, and Sarah felt the weight of uncertainty creeping back in. There was something lurking, something beyond a simple game of hide and seek. And as they made their way back toward town, a dim light flickered at the edge of the forest, illuminating a path that neither of them could comprehend. The crowd followed behind Sarah as they made their way down the uneven trail. The atmosphere shifted, laughter fading and whispers creeping into their conversations. The flickering light grew brighter, an eerie glow breaking through the trees and casting shadows that danced like flickers of doubt. Ethan, still close to Sarah, hesitated as they approached the glowing source. "Mom, I don't want to go any closer," he murmured, gripping her hand tighter. "It's okay, sweetheart," Sarah said, her heart aching for his fear. "We'll stick together." She glanced back, catching Jack's eye. He nodded, a reassuring smile fighting the confusion on his face. As they ventured deeper into the trees, the light expanded, illuminating an old stone well. The stones were moss-covered and ancient, like a relic untouched by time. A gentle hum, melodic and soft, floated from the well, wrapping around them with an inexplicable warmth. "What is that?" Luke whispered, his voice a breathless puff in the cool night air. Max, barking softly, darted toward the well, his nose twitching in excitement. With a swift movement, Jack stepped forward, placing a protective hand on his chest. "Wait, buddy." Sarah felt an odd pull toward the light, a magnetic force that seemed to beckon them closer, but her instincts screamed caution. "Maybe we should head back," Sarah suggested, her heartbeat loud in her ears. But Ethan broke free, taking a step toward the well. "What if it's something good?" His curiosity shone bright against his earlier anxiety. The melody grew, intertwining itself with the rustling leaves, creating an almost hypnotic atmosphere. They all felt the pull, an inviting echo that resonated deep within. "Just be careful," Jack said, his voice steady but edged with concern. Suddenly, a soft voice broke through the melodies, melodic and haunting. "Help, please help!" Everyone froze. The once comforting glow now seemed foreboding. "Did you hear that?" Sarah asked, her breath barely escaping her lips. Yes, Ethan nodded, wide-eyed. It sounds like it's calling for help. Luke's brows furrowed. Who is it? I don't know. Sarah stepped closer to the well, filled with a sense of urgency. We should call out. The group exchanged anxious glances. They were scared, but deep down, they knew they couldn't ignore the call. With a steadying breath, Sarah leaned over the edge, her voice steady despite the pounding in her chest. Hello? Is someone down there? Please help us, the voice wailed, a rush of despair cutting through the serene melody. Jack took a step back, blending into the shadows with Max beside him. We should go. This doesn't feel right. No. Ethan protested, alarm coloring his tone. We can't just leave them. Uncertainty hung in the air, a palpable tension weaving through the group. Sarah felt her heart race. The voice was filled with fear, desperate and haunting. She knew they could not just walk away. But what if it was a trap? As they debated their next move, the forest around them seemed to hold its breath. The soft wind fell silent, and the song faded, leaving only the sound of their shallow breaths and racing hearts. Just then, the light flickered once more, revealing a shadowy figure at the base of the well, its outline shifting before disappearing into the darkness. What was that? Lily whispered, fear creeping into her voice. The collective gasp echoed through the group, a terrifying reality settling in. What had they stumbled upon in these woods, and how far would they be willing to go to uncover the truth? The path ahead felt darker than before. They could either flee or discover the secrets lurking within the shadows, and time was running out. The voice echoed in Sarah's mind, haunting, urgent. Help us, the plea twisted her insides, deepening her resolve. She leaned closer, peering into the darkness that seemed to stretch on forever. The glow from the well flickered, casting long shadows that twisted like fingers reaching out, almost pleading for connection. Ethan, stay by me, she commanded, knowing his courage had not yet fully formed. She sensed his fear, mirrored in the tightness of her own chest. What if it's a trick? Luke whispered, glancing from Sarah to Jack and back again. The anxiety was palpable, spreading like wildfire within the group. Still, what if someone really is down there? Ethan's voice trembled. The hope in his eyes ignited Sarah's determination. Okay, let us think about this, Jack began, his hand absently rubbing Max's fur as the dog stood restlessly by his side. If we call out again, we have to be ready for anything. Their breaths formed clouds in the cool night air, hearts beating a frenetic rhythm. Sarah nodded, trying to steady herself. She searched the faces around her, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. One more time she leaned over the edge, feeling that strange warmth swirl around her. If you can hear me, we are here to help you. Can you tell us where you are? The response was instantaneous. The shadows, they hold my brothers. Please. The voice broke into a sob, raw and desperate. Ethan clung tighter to Sarah's hand, and she could feel his fear churning within him. Next to them, Luke shifted his weight uneasily, casting glances over his shoulder as though the surrounding woods might come alive. I don't like this, he murmured. Me neither, Jack echoed. But that doesn't mean we can just walk away. The group stood straddling uncertainty and bravery, the line between safety and danger blurring. The shadows danced as if they were alive, swirling around the well, making it seem as though the forest itself was watching and waiting. All right, Sarah said, voice calm yet resolute. We will call for help together. Maybe they can guide us. Taking a collective breath, they shouted, can you tell us how to reach your brothers? The woods swallowed their voices, but hope threaded through the anxious energy surrounding them. Follow the light, the voice whispered, soft yet strong before it faded, the finality of it hanging in the air like smoke. What does that even mean? Ethan asked, confusion etching itself on his youthful face. I think it means we have to keep going, Sarah replied, uncertainty prickling at her skin. Maybe there's something more out here. Luke blinked into the darkness, returning to the well's edge but not wanting to cross too far into the unknown. I don't know if I'm ready for this. Me neither, Jack murmured, casting an apprehensive glance at Max. The dog growled softly, as if sensing just how serious things had become. As they shared fearful glances, the glow from the well pulsed again, illuminating fleeting images that flickered against the bark of trees. They seemed surreal hints of children desperately reaching for help, lost and lonely beneath the shadowy depths. Please, the voice called out one last time, a sound that echoed in their hearts like an ever-present drum. Sarah's breath hitched as she suddenly felt their gravity, like the well had pulled them into its depths. They could turn back, flee into the safety of the night, but a flicker of courage surged within her. It's now or never, she said. As the group took their first step forward, shadows began to envelop them, whispering secrets only the darkness knew. Would they find the truth they sought, or was the forest about to swallow their hope whole? The answer loomed closer, darker than they could have ever imagined. The air grew colder as they moved deeper into the woods, the shadows wrapping around them like a chilling embrace. Each step felt heavier, like the earth itself was warning them to turn back. Sarah led the way, heart hammering, while Ethan clutched her arm. Jack and Luke followed closely behind, and Max, ever alert, kept his nose low to the ground, sensing something unseen. Do you think we're making a mistake? Luke's voice broke the silence, his breath misting in the night air. Maybe, Sarah replied, her own confidence wavering. But the desperate voice still echoed in her mind. But I can't just ignore it. If there's a chance. They continued onward, through thick branches that snagged at their clothes and sharp thorns that stung their skin. The glow from the well faded behind them, now just a ghost in the dark expanse, yet the promise of light lingered. What if following the light leads us into danger? Ethan's voice shook, the fear palpable. We're already in danger, Jack stated, determination emerging through his anxiety. But if we don't try, who will? Sarah felt a surge of gratitude for Jack's bravery. We have to stick together. Whatever happens, we face it. Suddenly, Max froze, ears perked up. He growled low, a low rumble vibrating through the stillness. Max? What is it, boy? Jack whispered, crouching down beside him. The dog stared into the dark, eyes focused. Then he barked, sharp and urgent, breaking through the tension. Come on, let us move. Sarah urged, unable to shake the feeling that they were being watched. She hurried her pace, leading them beyond gnarled roots and scattered stones, sensing that shimmering light in the distance. They pushed forward, the anticipation rising like a swell in the ocean. And then, through the brush, they saw it, a faint shimmer, like stars sprinkled across the ground. Is that? Luke started, and then fell silent, awe painting his features. It has to be the light, Sarah said, exhilaration mixing with trepidation. As they approached, the glow brightened, illuminating a small clearing. In the center stood what appeared to be shimmering stones, all casting the soft light that bathed them in warmth. Wow, Ethan breathed. It's beautiful, but alongside the beauty, Sarah felt a deep sadness. Is it enough to lead us to them? Let us find out, Jack said, stepping forward. He knelt by the stones, gazing deep into their warmth. Maybe we can, I don't know, call out again. Before they understood what was happening, the glow pulsated, matching their heartbeats as if the stones themselves were alive. Brothers? Sarah whispered into the night. Help us, the voice returned, but now layered with a faint echo, more than one voice, multiple cries mingling together. Listen. Ethan's eyes were wide, glistening with tears. They're close. Just then, the ground trembled, and the stones vibrated under their feet. The air thickened, electricity snapping around them. What's happening? Luke yelled, panic rising. As if answering him, a cloud of shimmering dust burst from the stones, swirling like a tempest. When the wind settled, 4 figures emerged, faint outlines of children standing amid the glimmer. Please help us, they reached out, blurry hands filled with desperation. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. They're here, they're really here. But their joyful reunion was cut short by a warning ripple in the air. Shadows loomed once more, creeping closer, threatening to snuff out the light and the hope it brought. Get back! Jack shouted as they drew closer, ready to protect the group. Suddenly, a strong bark echoed through the clearing. Max lunged forward, positioning himself between the children and the encroaching darkness, steadfast and brave. Stay close! Sarah screamed, adrenaline surging. What now? Would the shadows overpower them, or could they find a way to save the children and themselves? The next step felt crucial, the climax of their fearful journey drawing ever closer. The air around them thickened, and the shadows began to twist and writhe, forming ominous shapes that crept toward the clearing. Sarah felt her heart race, a wild drumbeat of fear and determination. She couldn't let the kids down, she wouldn't let Max down. Everyone, gather in close! She shouted, her voice strong yet pleading. The group huddled together, backs to the shimmering stones, and Max remained fiercely protective in front of them. The children, their features still blurred and ghostly, looked around, panic evident in their eyes. Please don't let them take us again, one of the boys whimpered, his voice a feathering whisper in the chaos. We won T. Jack shouted back, taking a step forward, climbing the hill of adrenaline rushing through his veins. We promise. But as if in response to his declaration, the shadows surged, dark claws reaching out, threatening to snatch them all back into the void. Sarah could see the uncertainty flicker in her friend's eyes. Would they really be able to protect these kids? Was there anything they could do? Think, Sarah, think. She started to pace, her breath coming quicker. Could they use the very stones that had summoned the children to help them fight back? What if we call out to the light again? It brought them here. Maybe it can keep the darkness at bay, are you sure? Ethan's voice trembled. What if it gets worse? She nodded, determination hardening her resolve. Those shadows feed on fear. If we call out with hope, taking a deep breath, Sarah stepped forward, feeling every heartbeat thrum in unison, everyone still gathered behind her. You can't have them. They don't belong to you. They're not afraid. The stones pulsed, and soon, every voice joined in, a chorus of defiance rising through the night. You can't have us! They yelled, mingling their fear with hope. The shadows froze for an instant, a moment of hesitation amid their advance. But the hesitation soon turned to rage, black fog swirling faster, dark winds crashing against the glow of the stones. Their whispers grew louder, promising despair, reminding them of loss and grief. Then, from the depths of the darkness, a new voice joined in a piercing scream that sliced through the night. No! You will not take her back. It was the little girl, her figure solidifying amid the shimmer of the stones. Sarah! Help me! The girl cried, her spectral form latching onto Sarah's heart like a vice. I can't go back. Stay with us. Sarah shouted, tears pooling in her eyes. The girl needed courage, hope, and love. All things she desperately wanted to give but didn't fully understand how. With a surge of collective strength, Sarah reached out, and the light from the stones flared, casting out the shadows, illuminating the clearing like a beacon against the night. Each child, now vibrant, stepped forward, lending their energy to the fight, their hands joining in solidarity with Max, who stood firm beside them all. Together! Jack yelled, advancing toward the darkness, fearless. The shadows writhed, screaming as the light pushed them back, the children's innocence and love creating a powerful barrier. Yet, the darkness wasn't giving up so easily, it hissed and swirled, clawing at their light. Keep pushing! Luke shouted, his voice a raw edge. Suddenly, the child's form flickered and waved. You have to believe. You're stronger than they are. But could they truly fight against something so vast, so consuming? Sarah felt her hope waver amidst the shadows closing in once more. Please, what if it's not enough? She whispered, her voice barely rising above the chaos, and then, a heart-wrenching silence fell as shadows paused again, doubt creeping across the darkness. It seeped through the air, a moment caught between despair and belief, each heartbeat hanging in the balance. The moment of truth arrived. Would they hold on, or would the darkness snuff out everything they had fought for? The shadows lay heavy upon the clearing, held back only by the feeble light flickering from the stones. Sarah's heart thudded painfully in her chest as she battled to keep her focus. She could feel the children huddled close behind her, their fragile hope blending with her own. The cries of the little girl resonated in her ears, an anchor in the chaos. Believe. She shouted again, forcing the words out with all the strength she could muster. We have to believe in each other. Believe in our love. The little girl's face shimmered, momentarily breaking the haze of fear, a haunting smile beginning to tug at the corners of her lips. I'm here. She cried, her voice steadying them, wrapping their hearts in a glimmer of warmth amid despair. The shadows flinched at the brightening glow, the darkness seeming to recoil from the unexpected strength. Sarah's breath quickened as the empowering warmth buzzed through her. When was the last time all their hearts had been fixed on one goal, fighting alongside one another? Push through. Max roared, his eyes blazing with raw emotion, urging the group onward. The stones throbbed in response, the vibrations of hope coursing through the children. Ethan, emboldened by the shift in energy, stepped up, lifting his voice. You can't take them. They're brave. They're stronger than you think. His declaration inspired others, voices rising in a unified scream against the encroaching darkness. Sarah felt a ripple of energy flowing through her as they all channeled that collective defiance, their cries merging into something formidable. The shadows hissed and shrieked, black tendrils thrashing as if sentient, trying to reach into the light, but the barrier held firm. Each heartbeat became a step in defiance. In the midst of the uproar, the little girl stepped closer to Sarah, her eyes wide with hope, shining like stars. You promised. She called out, her voice echoing like a gentle plea amid the clamor. You said you'd save us. I won't let you down. Sarah vowed, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. I promise. We will save each other. The tremors in the shadows grew more frantic. They swirled, desperate to grasp at the dwindling light. But the stronger the children fought back, the more the shadows trembled as if losing a battle they thought inevitable, and suddenly, in a breathtaking burst, the stones erupted with light, bathing everything in a soft white glow. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she felt the warmth kiss her skin. Together, they stood unwavering, anchored by their shared love, united against the darkness. As the shadows waned, shrieked, and began to dissolve, a strange new current sparked through them, but in that moment of triumph, Sarah heard a cry that pierced the triumphant atmosphere, chilling her to the bone. They're coming. Another voice echoed from deep in the whispering dark. Panic surged as the group reeled, all feeling terror return. Shadows, darker and thicker, twisted away from the light, gathering force. What do we do? What do we do? Jack stammered, eyes wide, dread washing over him once more. Sarah clenched her fists, the moment pressing heavy on her. She felt a choice dangling in the balance, demanding wisdom and bravery. How must she lead them now? The light flickered and waned, the shadows chuckling, plotting their next move. Stay with me. No matter what. She urged, knowing now that the battle was far from over. As the ominous horde coalesced, Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the children's trust in her. With their futures hanging by a thread, she could either forge a new path or surrender to the engulfing fear. Together, she whispered to herself, bracing for the next surge. We fight together or not at all. And then she turned, fully grappling with the gravity of the impending darkness, ready to face whatever came next. What other secrets lay hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? The shadows coiled tighter around the clearing, lurking, gathering strength. Sarah felt the world around her shift. The silence was heavier now, pressing like a weight on her chest. Even the children behind her grew quiet, their breathing a mix of fear and anticipation. "Hold on to each other," she yelled, trying to break the fraught tension. She turned to the little girl, searching her eyes for courage, a spark to ignite the group again. "We're stronger than this." But the girl's gaze fell to the ground, her tiny hands trembling. "But we're so small, what if we can't hold the light?" Her voice wavered, a haunting whisper lost in the dark. "Don't say that," Ethan shouted, stepping forward, his own defiance shining through. "We are here. We can do this." The determination in his voice echoed in the clearing, like a heartbeat keeping rhythm. "Right?" Max added. "We have each other. That's what makes us strong." Sarah looked back, seeing resolve starting to bloom again. She knew she had to channel it. "What if we showed them how much we believe?" Her voice rose, radiating through the air. "What if we filled this place with our hope?" Suddenly, an overwhelming wave of trust surged through her. She urged them closer, forming a tight circle. "Hold hands," she commanded, her heart singing with a strange, new strength. The children complied, their fingers intertwining in a show of unity. "Let us think of all the love we've shared," Sarah said, the words rolling off her tongue as she closed her eyes, visualizing the memories. "Think of the family dinners, the laughter, the times we've lifted each other up." The darkness hissed, unsettled by the shift in energy that began to swell between them. Sarah opened her eyes, feeling the pulse of collective hope spiraling out from their circle, lighting the edges of the clearing. "Now, picture our strength as something that fills this space," she urged, her voice a rhythmic call. "Imagine it blazing bright, pushing the shadows away." With every heartbeat, the children responded, their intentions mingling into a singular force. Together, they chanted, voices merging in one resolute echo. As their confidence surged, the light above the stones grew warmer, brighter. It was more than just flickering, it radiated, casting the dark into retreat. It was a shimmering glow, wrapping around them like a protective blanket. Confidence surged in Sarah, unlocking something deep within her. It felt good, but then, just as the shadows began to edge away, the deep voice howled again from the darkness. "You think this love will save you?" It mocked, a chilling sound that made the children shiver. "You will feel despair. Your unity will be your undoing. Don't listen," Sarah cried, holding her ground. "We have what it takes. We are not weak, we are a family." She gripped the little girl's hand tighter, warmth flowing through her. "We choose each other. We won't let go." The children's faces lit up with determination. She could see in their eyes the fire reigniting, their spirits aligning. From the corner of her eye, Sarah caught a shift in the shadows, a flicker, as if hesitation had crept into their ranks. Could it be? The darkness trembled, struggling against a force they had possibly underestimated. Together, they shouted again, eyes shining with hope, dissipating the fear tangled inside. In that moment, something shifted within the shadows. They shuddered, their forms flickering as if uncertain. But then, a new sound, heavy and determined, rumbled from the depths of the forest. A powerful bark echoed through the clearing, piercing the dread enveloping them. Sarah's heart jumped. "Stay close," she ordered, her voice steadying. Whatever was about to emerge, she knew they had to be ready. The trees quaked, and through the veil of shadows, a shape began to take form. Hope mingled with nervous anticipation as the beast of light emerged. The air seemed to buzz with electricity. "Who or what is it?" Jack whispered, eyes wide with both awe and trepidation. Whatever lay ahead could change everything, but would it be friend or foe? With the darkness retreating, all they could do now was wait and hope. The figure emerged slowly, its shape becoming clearer as it pushed through the swirling murky shadows, a beam of golden light breaking the gloom. As it stepped into view, a collective gasp escaped the children's lips. It was a large dog radiating strength and warmth. Its golden fur shimmered in the glow, and Sarah could see the determination in its eyes, fierce and protective. "Is it a guardian?" Ethan murmured, all lacing his voice. It was as if the creature had stepped out from a storybook, ready to defend them from the encroaching darkness. But even with the dog's powerful presence, the shadows wailed mournfully, still clinging to the edges of the clearing. "Stay focused," Sarah urged, her heart racing as adrenaline surged through her veins. "Don't lose sight of what we've built together." She glanced at the children, noting the glimmers of hope now sparkling in their eyes. She knew they had to keep that energy alive, even in the face of their fear. The golden dog approached cautiously, its muscles rippling as it moved, each step commanding attention and respect. With a gentle yet confident bark, it elicited a sense of calm that washed over the children. They squeezed each other's hands tighter, emboldened by this new ally. "Imagine if we combined our light with this dog's strength," Sarah suggested, her voice steady. "What if we helped it push the shadows back?" Determination flickered in her chest as she lifted her chin. "We can do this. Let us show them." Max shouted, a wild smile breaking through the fear. Instinctively, the children led by Sarah focused their collective energy towards the golden dog, pouring in their hope, their laughter, and the love they held for one another. Together, they formed a radiant barrier, sending waves of brightness cascading towards the darkness. The dog stood before them, as if accepting their offering, its eyes gleaming with shared conviction. "Together." They cried once more, their voices elevating into the air. The light intensified, fanning out like a beautiful sunrise, overtaking the shadows with unyielding force. Suddenly, the shrouded figures recoiled, shrieking in dismay, the darkness writhing against the fierce glow. Sarah felt electricity dance through her fingertips, a pulse of hope she had never experienced before. Could this really work? But just as they began to push the shadows back, the deep voice howled again, more desperate this time. "You won't prevail. You are weak, and this creature will betray you." The dog turned its head ever so slightly, as if processing the taunt, then fixed its gaze back on the shadows with an unwavering resolve. It was clear it would not back down. "Do you hear that?" Sarah said, feeling the intensity in the air shift. "It's scared. Just like we were." She took a step forward, emboldened by this revelation. "Stronger together. That's the truth." With every ounce of belief, they pushed harder. The golden light pressed onward into the depths, illuminating the darkest corners of the clearing. The shadows wailed louder, jarring Sarah deep within her soul, but she held her ground. The children rallied around her, their hands still clasped, binding them together. Then, in an unimaginable twist of fate, the shadows began to crack. A small figure within them surged forward, caught in a fleeting moment of clarity. Sarah's heart sank. "Look!" Jack shouted, pointing toward the chasm. What emerged from the shadows was not more monsters, but a boy, no older than Max. His face was a mix of fear and hope, his eyes capturing the very essence of despair. "Help me!" he cried, reaching out, desperation woven into his plea. "Together!" Sarah shouted again, and the children stood firm, hearts pounding as they faced both the boy and the shadows. A new plan began to form, but what if their hope wasn't strong enough to save him? The weight of the moment pressed in on them, testing everything they had learned so far. Would the bond they formed truly be powerful enough to rescue not just each other, but someone lost in the darkness? The shadows thrummed with restless energy, closing in on their fragile circle. But amid the chaos, Sarah felt something shift, a flicker of courage igniting in her heart. The boy's pleading eyes anchored her, pulling her towards action. "We won't let you down," she shouted, her voice ringing out like a battle cry, fervent and alive. "Together!" The children echoed, their voices rising in harmony. Their hands tightened around each other, a lifeline amid uncertainty, pumping strength into the sense of solidarity that had been forged through fear and hope. With every ounce of belief swirling around them, Sarah stepped forward, her heart racing yet anchored in purpose. "We're here for you." She reached out to the boy, her voice soft but resolute. "We will help you find your way home." The kid took a tentative step forward, hesitant but hopeful, illuminated by the warmth radiating from Sarah's group. Jack moved in sync with Sarah, positioning himself protectively near the children. "We have to circle tighter," he urged, his voice steady and commanding. "Let us combine our strength. If he reaches for us, we reach back." Max, the golden dog, let out a powerful bark, rallying their spirits. The air around them vibrated with energy, a collective resolve increased in magnitude. "Yes. We're stronger together." It became their mantra, building momentum. Each child drew on their shared experiences, the laughter, the warmth of home, and the bonds of family. As Sarah and the others focused, the glowing stones surged brighter, fueled by their collective hope. The shadows hesitated, twisting uneasily in response, dark tendrils flailing against the growing light. The boy's eyes widened as he took a little more courage and edged toward the warmth radiating from the circle of light. "Just a bit closer," Sarah called out, waving her hand encouragingly. Finally, the boy stretched out his tiny arm, intertwining his fingers with Sarah's, followed by Ethan and Luke's hands eagerly reaching out. The moment fingers connected, a spark surged through all of them, a rush of love and belonging, life rekindled at its core. The shadows howled, shrieking in fury as the brilliant light expanded, encasing them all in a golden glow of compassion and unyielding unity. In a rush, the air shifted, and the boy's form grew vibrant, illuminating with the warmth of newfound life. "You did it!" he cried, elation pouring from his voice as he became more defined, freed from the oppressive darkness that had held him fast. Suddenly, the shadows seized in rejection, swirling violently, desperate now afraid. The depths of darkness flickered, revealing glimpses of the trapped souls it had taken, their eyes bright with fear, yearning for freedom too. The revelation struck Sarah like a lightning bolt. "We can save them all," she shouted, urgency rising in her chest. "Everyone. We have to hold on. Reach for your light," she commanded, focusing on the shimmering energy that flowed from their united hands. "Let us send it out." The children gasped as they anchored their intentions and their hearts not just for themselves but for every soul lost in the dark. Tension rippled through the air, and the glow around them expanded beyond the borders of their immediate presence, surging through the woods. In that breathtaking moment, a wave of soft, golden light burst forth, washing over every shadow, illuminating the darkness in a stunning display of brilliance. The spirits caught in the gloom began to emerge, drawn towards the warmth of the children's hearts. "Light is stronger than shadows," the children shouted in unison, their declaration vibrating through the forest. The bright glow pushed back against the shadows that began to wane, flickering as their power diminished, but laughter erupted from the light, weaving through the cries of rage from the dark. The children were victorious. They could feel it. The shadows found themselves slipping away, retreating in fear and confusion, leaving behind an expanse of shimmering light. Heal the scars of despair. As the shadows withered away, Sarah held her breath, heart racing. They stood taller, stronger than ever, bathed in radiant joy as the lost children were freed and brought into the circle, their spirits lighter, faces bright with hope. Amid all the chaos, a profound clarity washed over Sarah. The power of community, the strength in their shared connections, had transformed them not just into a rescue party, but a coalition of hearts. They had prevailed against the darkness, hand in hand, united in love. As the last tendrils of shadow faded into the night, silence enveloped them, the calming stillness settling around as peace wiped away their anxious brow. The golden dog stood proudly beside them, a welcoming guardian that had emerged from adversity. With holding hands and hopeful hearts, they began to make their way back, laughter mingling with tears of joy filling the air. Knowing their lives were forever changed, Sarah beamed down at the children surrounding her, now infused with unshakable belief in themselves and in each other. They were not just heroes of their story, they were a family born anew, a powerful reminder of what it means to unite against the odds. In that warm embrace of dawn's first light, the children knew they had the strength to face whatever lay ahead. They would walk together, always finding their way back to hope, to love, and to each other. Now, folks, what a journey we've taken. If you've enjoyed seeing this transformation, you need to subscribe now. Hit that button and ring the bell to not miss our next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help us feed the algorithm. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this story of courage. Every action helps us keep the magic alive. Comment your feelings and reactions about this ending. Let us know how it touched your heart. Thank you for being part of this incredible journey.